Hello and welcome to the Chapter 5 podcast on Section 5.7, our last section. This podcast will be about enthalpies of formation. Enthalpies of formation are basically enthalpy changes associated with the formation of compounds from their original elements. So you'll see a delta H with the F to indicate that it's a formation and not just one from a reaction. We not only have heats of formation, but usually we standardize the state of conditions. So standard state is 1 atmosphere pressure and 25 degrees Celsius or 298 K. So standard enthalpy changes are enthalpy changes at their standard states. However, we can combine these and make a standard enthalpy of formation, which is a formation from its constituent elements under standard conditions. So you'll often see a delta H with not only the degree sign but the F. So the degree sign will always mean standard conditions, not only in thermochemistry but also thermodynamics, and the F is specific for formation, so to not confuse it with other enthalpy values. Enthalpies of formation are always given in like a table. So table 5.3, and then there's also an appendix in your book which has enthalpies of formation for several different substances. What you'll also want to keep in mind here is that the state of matter will make a difference as well. So notice with water, if you can see that down at the bottom on the right, that the enthalpy of formation changes depending on whether you're talking about liquid water versus gaseous water. How do we use these things? Well, they're very easy to use because we just basically just plug them into equations. One thing to keep in mind though is that because this is based upon formation from the original elements, even diatomic ones, will have standard enthalpy values of 0. So if they show up in equations, you can pretty much ignore them because they're not going to have enthalpies. What we do to find the standard enthalpy of the reaction is we take the formation of the products and subtract the formations of the reactants. If there are any balanced coefficients that are used, like if there's a 2 in front for balancing, then that enthalpy of formation gets multiplied by that coefficient value. So let's say we have this reaction here and we want to know the change in enthalpy of reaction. What we need to do here is we take the products and then we subtract out the reactants. So we need the formation of carbon dioxide in the gaseous state. We multiply it times 6 because there's 6 in the balanced formula. For liquid water, we would multiply it times 3. And then we would subtract out the C6H6, the benzene, and then 15 halves times the oxygen. Now we know the oxygen is going to be 0, but I just put it in here just to illustrate it, where all the numbers are coming from. So then what I do is I go to my table or on my appendix and I substitute the heats of formation for each substance with their actual number, which you see here. I multiply and then I subtract and then I get the standard enthalpy of reaction, which is actually pretty easy to get as long as you have the reference values, which you'll always get. And that's it.